Boy.
We are back again.
Hey.
Episode 3. How you feeling?
Man, marvelous, man. God is good.
Yes, indeed.
Man.
Low. How you doing, brother man?
You know, same days, different days.
Yo, I wish y'all could see him say that. That's
we have the
hilarious.
lovely Nicole here
I know where
again,
she at.
too.
Hey. What up?
All right.
Hey.
So, ready to get this started? All right, let's do it. All right.
All right.
Here we go. Now at the third episode of Boon Documented, the chop up. What's going on? It's Solomon Vaughn, aka Boonie Mayfield.
You know who it is? Justin Spio, back again.
Yes, indeed. And we're going to be wrapping up everything with career transitions.
Yes, sir.
And what I would like to touch on this final episode of this series is basically what we've learned. What we've learned throughout the process of the highs and the lows. We're still learning. We're always going to be learning.
Always.
But I think it's great for us to kind of touch on some of the things that we've, come to learn from our experiences. Like, for instance, I feel like one of the most important things that I've learned along the way is that uncertainty is okay.
It's okay. It's going to be there. It's inevitable. You can't deny it.
Yeah, that's all part of life, period, and the transition.
Yeah, and you're going into a new space, so you should be uncertain. Like, I don't think you can grow unless there's some learning that needs to be done or something that you're not unsure of. I think it has to be there in order for you to grow and to learn. So
yeah, exactly.
You only learn new things. New things make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So,
yeah. I think it's just like people focus so much, sometimes too much, on security and certainty when there's really no such thing.
Right.
It's like, and that's in any field. You can get laid off at any moment.
Yeah.
A business can collapse at any moment. Yeah. Any of those things. So it's always this level of uncertainty. It's more so being okay with that and just continuing to go forward because I think what holds a lot of people back from even starting or going for something is the uncertainty of it and not having everything figured out. And that's impossible as well.
Yeah, man. Nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people don't want to, they're scared of failure. Like we touched on failure before. Failure is another thing that's inevitable. Like everybody fails at some point, but it's about what you do from the failure. Like do you just fail and you just give up and cry about it, or you might sulk a little bit, you might get down, grieve a little bit, but it's like it gets to a point where you got to be like, all right, man, I got to pick myself back up and keep moving.
Yes.
And that's what makes the great ones great,
Yeah, and it's okay. It's okay to hit those points like we talked about last week. That, you get in those low points where you just want to give up or you're questioning everything that you've been working towards. And you're going to have those low moments. It's just a matter of just getting back up. You're going to get knocked down.
Everybody gets knocked down. Every single person.
Yes. And so when you embrace the beauty of uncertainty, as scary and terrifying as it can be, a lot of times it gets exciting when you switch your perspective, because things often, it's not going to happen in the timing, and then it's not going to usually happen in the way that you think it's going to. You can go ahead and have a plan, but like they say, it's just like you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans.
Right.
It's nothing wrong with having a plan. Yeah. Like, okay, this is what I'm wanting to go for, but when those plans don't start to look
if it doesn't go according to plan, like don't fret, don't
think that it's not going to happen. That's definitely an aspect I've learned from it.
Yeah, because I would have never known if you'd asked me 10 years ago I'd be at this point. You know what I'm saying? No idea. I had a plan on, at that moment, at time, I don't even know, until I was like 23. I think I was in grad school for, not even for physical therapy, for IO psychology, and I was gonna be in the business realm as a psychologist, like.
Yeah.
I'm far from that. I don't but that was the plan,
Yeah.
But you can never get too down on yourself. I think I said it last week, like as long as you're alive, you got hope. As long as you're alive, you got hope, and you can still progress, make moves. And you'll be all right.
Yeah,
I believe that.
Just trusting in the growth and progression, even when it feels or seems stagnant.
Right.
Because I've learned that when you're in the thick midst of something, it's too hard to be aware of everything, and sometimes it just seems like everything is happening a lot slower than it happens. I think journaling. I've been writing in a journal for over like 6 years.
Right.
That has been one of the most beneficial things for me because I can trace back where I was and what happened. So I can look at, a certain time from maybe a couple years ago where I'm like stressing about something. I'm like, man, I don't know what to do. There's nothing happening, blah, blah, blah. And I see 2 weeks later, there's something that came
Switched
up
and
whatever. But it's just like when you're in it, you have these victories or these highs or these breakthroughs. And it's almost like, man, I have a hard time remembering what I did last week.
Literally.
So it's just like you could forget, what you were really, really feeling like a couple weeks before or a couple months before. But then when you're able to trace back and see like, man, I didn't realize that just a week later this happened, or even sometimes the next day, you don't even realize that. So it's just like, if you're constantly taking the steps that you can, you're not going to have full control of everything. You're not going to have everything figured out.
No, not
but
at all.
best believe if you're still going for what you're going for, you are moving forward. You are progressing, even when it doesn't feel like
it. And you have to celebrate those small successes.
You
have to, because sometimes with me, I'm thinking like I'm not progressing, like I'm thinking nothing's happening. But you have to, even day by day, that you're doing small stuff. Like right now, it's even crazy. I'm in real estate courses. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't seem like it's big, but in order to get the license, you have to take the courses. And sometimes my wife always reminds me, like, nah, you're doing a lot. Because sometimes you just, we see ourselves doing great things and the grandeur of, success and breakthroughs, which sometimes I'm like, man, what is that? So sometimes even you have to enjoy, that's another cliche thing, enjoy the process. But you have to, because literally sometimes when you make it, or what else is next? What else?
It's the truth. This one thing I've noticed too about success, it's best for it to come in small increments, in steps along. Because I look at it even the same way as like drinking coffee. You get a hot coffee, and you have to sip it. Imagine just taking that coffee, that hot, fresh coffee, and downing it.
Your voice is gone.
It's going to burn the mess out of your throat. And that's where it's almost like with success, you just take it all in. It's just like you can't handle it. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like when you're sipping it, and gradually. And the cool thing is, as you're sipping it, it starts getting a little cooler. You start getting a little more used to. You could take bigger gulps.
You get more acclimated. You can have more
and stuff. But it's like in the beginning, it's going to be a little things.
And that happens to a lot of people. Sometimes success, they gain too much success too fast. And we're here in LA in the entertainment world. Drugs, just all types of just craziness, that can happen when you get too much success, too much money, too much fame.
Because then you get a lot of the people that are not genuine. That everyone wants to be your friend and wants to be around you, and you have all that success. And they are going to blow your ego up. They're going to tell you you're this and that, and they want to be around and stuff like that. But the moment if you lose it and it collapses, they're all there. They're all gone. And what happens is a lot of times you could end up burning all the true friendships and relationships that you have. Because you got all these new people around there. It's like, you don't need them. You're whatever now. And it's just like you end up losing your whole entire foundation. And that's where it's like,
you lose your foundation, you topple over. And that's happened to a lot of people. So
drive slow, homie.
Drive slow.
So what would you say is some of the things that you've also learned?
I think the biggest thing for me is just not dwelling on the past, to be honest. Not dwelling on what has happened, what I've done, what people may have done to me, maybe even how circumstances that might have happened. Like, man, you can't dwell on all that stuff, because sometimes for me, like, it just might be something like I didn't succeed or something like that, and it's like, all right, cool, that didn't happen, but let's just let's close the page on that book, and let's get on to the next chapter, because it's like you just got to keep moving. That's my biggest thing, man. I just be like, yo, just keep moving, keep moving. Sometimes, even if you don't know what you're doing, like I'm not like, I like Gary Vee, but I'm not like some people like think he's God. But one thing he did say that did resonate with me, he was like, yo, just like sometimes you just got to do shit. That's what he said. You just got to do shit. Because sometimes you don't know what's going to stick, but if you don't do anything, that's just like, you're going to miss all the shots you don't take. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So you just got to keep moving. And so I don't think about, how I failed. Or obviously you got to learn from the past. You got to learn from it. So you got to be introspective. You got to look in retrospect what you've done, but don't dwell on it. Don't let that affect you to the point where you can't move forward.
Because it can breed fear.
Huge fear.
And just like, I
paralyze you.
Because I've gone through that a lot, where it's just like, man, well, this didn't happen, this didn't happen, this didn't happen, and I'm afraid to just continue on.
Right.
And like a friend / mentor of mine even told me, even with just all my music and all the stuff that I have and all the projects I'm developing now with my music, I was like, man, just sometimes that what's hard about it is like I've gone through so much pain trying to get this music, all the songs and projects I've done, further. But it's like each time I face it, sometimes I just feel shame, embarrassment, all these kind of things of all the disappointments. And he was just like, man, don't. How did he say it? I've heard the saying before, but don't throw out the baby with the dirty water. You know what I'm saying? And I was just like, okay, what? And he explained. He's like, these projects and stuff you've done, they're your baby. Okay. This is your baby. And just like, baby, you have to, you're bathing it and stuff like that. And you're washing out all the, the dirt and all the things you've been through. And it's like, and then, of course, you got to throw out the water. It's like, don't throw out the baby with the dirty water. Don't throw out the baby. It's like, you got to clean the baby off, throw out the dirty water, and start anew. It's like you have new things coming along. But now you have new perspectives and new things you're doing with your music. You weren't thinking the way you're thinking with your music then. You were only looking through the lens of how the music industry works. And that's not the way you even want to go about it. So why are you still dwelling on the disappointments that happened from this route that you realize you're glad you didn't go with it
That's
anyway.
The thing too. Sometimes you look back and you're like, man, it's even a blessing that what I wanted to happen didn't happen. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like that. Sometimes it's a blessing. Like I remember even women, some girls. You like, man, I wish I'd. No.
Dodged the bullet.
Wasn't dodged the bullet. She was not for me. So sometimes you just can't. Whatever's in the past, just leave it there and just keep moving.
Yeah. I agree.
Keep moving.
And with that being said, it's there's a time and a season for everything. There's there's people. I've learned that there's people in your life for what they say a reason, and people in your life for a season. It's like you have, of course, your lifelong friendships, your lifelong working relationships and associations, but in the process, you go through seasons where someone's like a part of your life, for like a big part of your life, for maybe just a couple years, maybe 3 years and stuff like that. And then when that shifts and changes, just being able to not feel resentment with stuff, because as I was shifting in ways, it's like I grew apart with some people. It just the way that I've connected with other peers and friends before, it was just like, especially transitioning out of music, like the things that I'm talking about now, and it's like, and things that they're talking about now,
it's just totally different.
Kind of, just in a different space. And I've went through some falling outs, and at times it was painful and whatnot. But I am grateful that I've been able to have conversations, heart-to-heart talks with everybody that I've ever had a like a kind of falling out with or disagreement with, where we could just come to peace, like, yo, I still care about you, you still care about me, and whatever. And we may not be hitting each other up like we used to, or seeing each other like we used to, but you were very important. I wouldn't be here and haven't experienced the things I've experienced without you being a part, and me getting to know you as a person, and you made me a better person, and in that kind of way. So I've definitely learned that with season changes.
And that's funny you say that, because you're attributing it to relationships that you've had with other people, and like when you were just talking, it just kind of reminded me of like me even going to the whole grad school to get my doctorate. Because remember when I quit, I was like, that was the worst decision I ever made. Like, I remember I was just like beating myself up for it, like, why did you do this? I should have never, like, it was just like, I didn't see any positive coming out of it. But then as I, just kept going on or whatever, I just thought about it like, yo, if I didn't go to Boston and go do all that stuff, like, there was things that weren't going to happen. Like, I probably would have never met my wife. Because it led to it led to me starting to model, which led to pictures, which led to her seeing. Like, there's a lot of things that fit because of that. Because of that,
it leads you to that. It's almost like in the movie The Butterfly Effect. It's like the moment he went back to change one little thing, it messed everything up. And that's what. And even Janie reminds me of that. Like, there's something, man. Why did I, even pursue music in this way when I'm going through this, whatever? It's just like, but you would have never met me.
Like, that's the thing.
That's. And I'm just like,
that's facts.
I'm like,
it's real. It's real. So that's even just not dwelling on the past. Like, yo, look at the positive of it. Even though there was some, now there's some. Yeah, I got some financial struggles now because of it. But it's like so many things. Even the financial struggles that I have now, I'm thinking about doing stuff bigger where I'm going to be making more money. Like I'm thinking huge where I'm making millions in the future. You know what I'm saying? Not just like, oh, $90K from being a PT, a physical therapist, or $100K. Now I'm thinking bigger, and it wouldn't have happened if I didn't go through that to even have the amount of debt I have now to clear that. You know what I'm saying? It made me just think bigger.
See, dude, I actually had that in my notes
to
touch on, and I don't think I kept it. But you ended up saying it, so now I know it needed to be said.
Well, let's hear it.
Because what you just said, and like looking back, like I said, it's just like I was looking at my music and my stuff through the lens of the music industry and this kind of route. And where I'm at right now is like, I look back and I was like, I wasn't thinking big enough.
Small.
I was still thinking too small.
Yep.
And for someone who thinks and dreams very big, that's kind of sometimes, I remember hearing Torrey Roberts talk about that. It's like, a lot of y'all are still thinking too small. I know y'all gonna think like, I think so big already. It's like, no, I'm gonna test you on that. And what he said really had me like, oh, wow. Yeah, you're right. I'm still, because your viewpoint can limit the capacity of what you can receive as, oh, that is possible.
Right.
What I'm learning more, as we've both explained and felt of being like misfits, is that there's usually probably a different route for you that hasn't been seen and done before. So you don't have a reference.
Yes.
I can't sit here and say, I can't compare my career to Kanye just because I'm a producer who, struggled to be taken serious as a rapper. I'm not Kanye, and where I'm going is not going to look the same route. So it's just like, I can't compare myself to him. I can't compare myself to Quincy Jones and other people, because everything about me is different. And so what's going to happen for me is going to be something new.
And God has that for all of us. That's for you. You know what I'm saying? That's for you and you alone. And it's exciting when you think about it. It's exciting. So it's like, if you can change your it seems like we're always going back, but it's like these are just
full circle
life lessons. If you can change the way you think, it'll change your actions. So it's like, I'm even thinking, God, now there's like, yo, there was that obstacle, but the obstacle is so big, but that's just because something bigger is even gonna happen. You know what I'm saying?
It made you think bigger.
Yes, like it made me think bigger. Like, so it's like, okay, it might have been, like first I was jumping over 4-foot hurdles. Now this is a 6-foot hurdle, but I'm training for it. You know what I'm saying? I'm training for it.
Yes.
And 7 foot's gonna come. 8 foot, but it's coming because I'm gonna jump over it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like it's crazy. No, if you think about it,
Yes.
it's like, yo, it's put there because the God has prepared you for it. He knows, where he's taking you. So it's like, man, don't trip. Just keep moving, and you're equipped for it. So
Yes.
let's get it.
Another important thing that I've learned and been learning in the process is just, like we said, we were talking about the things when people are asking us this and asking us that or viewing us, and the opinions and all this stuff. It's just like really accepting the fact that not everybody's going to understand. In fact, not many is going to understand when you're doing something that especially hasn't been done before or doesn't look the same way as somebody else. Like what I've come to like I told you before in the other episode, it's just like I was just getting tired of explaining myself.
Right.
And Janie was always telling me, you don't need to explain yourself to people that don't get it, because the people that get it are in your circle right now.
Right.
They are in your main circle. And the people that don't, it's just like, well, I'm not obligated to explain myself or get other people to understand where I'm going with things.
Right.
And at the end of the day, like, I don't need support and validation for me to continue doing what I'm doing. That's something I've been learning so much about.
Yep.
And
it helps. It helps with the journey, doesn't it?
Yes, it helps. It's I have my moments still.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's training, it becoming a habit. Really working on reprogramming my mind on how I feel, because there are still a lot of people that just see me a certain way, and there's nothing I can do about it. There's people. I love how Tyler the Creator said in a tweet like recently. He's like, they don't like you. He's like, they like a version of you.
Yeah, that's true.
And the moment you're not that version anymore,
they'll switch on you.
Then it's like, the world is over. Right. And so it's like, I know I have those ride or die fans who've been riding every transition and supporting. And that's way less than more of the, fair weather or whatever that types that. Because I'm not on an NPC, because I'm not making boom bap, because I'm not making neo soul, because I'm not making beat making videos, whatever. They're just whatever, and it's just like coming to that point where it's like, I don't need your approval
at all
and validation, and that's what I've admired about all the artists out there that have made transitions and have evolved and stuff. And just like Jay-Z would say, it's like people want the old shit, buy the old album.
Right. I'm not making it no more.
It's like I just imagine if Jay-Z would have still just been sounding like Reasonable Doubt.
It's like look how far.
Would it get old to you?
Look how much he's evolved. It's not even about the music no more. Like he's damn near like an activist right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like he could have stayed in the lane that he was in and, try to appease people, but it's like we'd have never got who he is now. You know what I'm saying? He's transcended. Like,
so much.
Like everything, you know what I'm saying? And it's because he just didn't care no more. You could tell there was a switch in him. Where
I think it was like by the time I got to the Black Album, it was like he was retiring at the time, but he didn't what he really retired from was caring.
For real.
And he retired from like needing to prove anything.
Especially when it came to music.
Right, that's where it was. The Black guy was like, I don't need to prove nothing to y'all. Do you see what I've done?
What I've done?
You know what I'm saying? You can't tell me nothing about this. Like,
you got to feel confident in yourself. You can't always have somebody telling you, oh, yeah, it's dope, it's dope, it's dope, it's dope. It's nice to have that, but you got to feel that. And I think that's what he felt it in himself, where, if somebody's just confident, like, you can't tell them nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And being in what I struggled with so much was that I was always confident in the music I was making, the songs I was making when I'm creating it. It's just by the time I put it out there, if I wasn't getting the reception that I was hoping for, then that started changing sometimes the way of like, am I gassing myself or something?
You start wavering a little bit.
Right, because one thing I noticed was just like, why is it that if you told me that you think A Tribe Called Quest is the worst group of all time, like they're overrated, I would not go back to myself and think, man, do I have bad taste in music?
Right, like...
I would not question my taste whatsoever. I would just be like, man, you crazy, but all right, that's whatever.
Be a joke.
Like, I didn't start liking Tribe or Wu-Tang or Outkast or anybody just because I saw other people liking them.
Right.
I liked them because I liked them. And whether they sold millions of records or not, I liked them in that way. But why was it that you could tell me you don't feel the same way about my favorite groups, but if you told me that my music wasn't good, I go to myself like, am I gassing myself, man? Maybe my stuff isn't as good as whatever and stuff. So it's just like, I'm not valuing people's opinions about my taste in something, but I'm valuing people's opinions about my music when some of their opinions about the music, I wouldn't really care.
Doesn't even matter. Like they don't even know music, and so it's like that's just like when I'm talking to somebody with hoops, and I'm like, I know you don't watch hoops, and you're telling me this is better. He's better. Like I can't stand it. So I just got the point. I'm not even gonna argue with you because you don't know. Like, you don't know. You don't watch this. That you're just talking.
It comes down to the fact that it's like I can respect an opinion. I will respect anyone's opinion, but I'm not gonna value.
I'm not gonna care
everyone's opinion about something. And that's where it's just like helping me because when I realize that, I'm just like, okay, there's something within me that is still feeling this need for validation, and even when you get it, I've had people that emailed me that were like, man, I was one of the people that was judging you and criticizing you for your growth in music and not doing boom bap no more and finding your own sound. But now I get it. Now I see where you're going. I respect that. And that's a good feeling. Right. But that I didn't feel,
it's short-lived.
It's not, it's very short-lived.
Like
so whatever. The validation period is very short-lived, which leads me to this story this thing that happened to me at the end of very end of March, beginning of April. Okay. I go there. There was one day where I was feeling pretty discouraged about my music, my journey, all the projects I've done and whatnot. And I go to this gathering at a bowling alley for a friend's birthday. Okay. And in Hollywood. So we go to this bowling alley. I love bowling. We're just going bowling. And tell me why we end up in the lane right next to Pharrell Williams. We're right next to Pharrell.
That's Hollywood for you.
Yeah, and I'm just like, right at that moment, the old me and the new me started to clash.
How's that?
The new me is just thinking, oh, that's cool. Well, I mean, if we end up connecting or whatever, it'll happen naturally. Right. And if it doesn't, then it's not in God's plan. And, whatever. I'm just content, whatever. I don't, The old me is thinking anxiously, like, what should I do? What should I say? Should I say something? Should I? Well, I don't want to bother him while he's with his wife and friends and stuff like that. But what if this is my shot?
Yeah, your chance. Yeah.
What if this is my only shot? And if I don't take it, then I'm never going to make it. It's this anxiety of feeling like, so I'm going back in the back, like I'm confiding in Janie about it.
Tripping.
I'm confiding in friends about it, like, all right, I'm bowling right next to Pharrell. Shouldn't I? Shouldn't I say something? Shouldn't I try to, I don't know, get connected? And it's like there's different opinions. Like, oh, let it go. Or maybe this is your, go with your gut or whatever. But my gut is struggling. I'm having this internal struggle. And I'm just like, what if this is my chance? My chance for what exactly?
I was about to say.
I don't know.
So you don't even
really,
know.
I'm not trying to get signed to a record label. I'm not trying to get in the music industry like that. I'm not looking for some kind of handout from Pharrell or him to, like sponsor me or whatever. Yeah. What is it that the old me is really wanting from Pharrell Williams? validation. That's exactly what I'm wanting.
Because eating you up.
I'm hoping that it's just like, so that's where it was like this internal struggle that was happening. And the old me was winning at the time because on the way home, like I had a breakdown.
So you didn't say anything to him?
I didn't get a chance to. I talked to one of the friends about it, would it be okay, a good idea to say, speak to him? Like, I ain't trying to get a picture. I'm not trying to, I just would like to let him know that, I really respect what he's done and he's inspired me along in my journey and everything. Okay. But he's just kind of, I don't know if it's the right time or whatever. And it's just like, and I just felt stupid. I felt awkward trying to whatever. And on the way home, like, man, I had a breakdown about it.
Oh, word?
Yeah, because it was just, like I said, this internal struggle clashed. Right. And that was a breaking point for me where it's like, all right, the old me's got to go.
Right.
Because the new me doesn't need his validation. The new me doesn't need anyone's validation because at the end of the day, I'm not feeling this need of validation for people I used to look up to. Right. And I say used to look up to, that not like I don't admire. Right. I'm just, at this point, the new me, where I'm at in my life, I don't look up to anybody. Right. I don't care if it's Quincy Jones himself. I don't look up to you. Yeah. I can look at you and admire and be inspired by, but I'm not going to look up and worship. Hey. And look to you like in this way. It's like I can look at you as an inspiration, but I'm not going to look at you as an idol.
Right.
Like that's not no. So that's the new perspective I have, and for me, I call that kingship.
I was about to say, you looking like a king on your throne, boy.
Speaking of that, and that's the thing that Janie said to me sometime last year. She was like, "Sit comfortably on your throne."
See, look at
and
that.
She was like, you don't have to prove nothing. You've proved it to yourself. Mm-hmm. You've achieved a lot. You have done more than most people will ever do in their lifetime because you had the guts to go for it. So it's just like sit comfortably on your throne and not feel like you have to prove anything to anyone or feel like you have to be validated.
Right.
Like sit comfortably there. And and that my queen told me that, and I was just like, and I'm working towards that every day.
It's definitely a struggle.
That was a moment that I just wasn't sitting comfortably where I'm at with things just because, this person has this status and these accolades that I don't have and whatnot. And it's just like, again, I had to get back, to myself of knowing like, I don't need the validation. And I was telling a friend that the other day, an old friend, like maybe last week, and he was like, man, I still look up to you. I was like, don't look up to me. I was like, don't look up to me. Look at me. Yeah. I'm one of your peers.
I was about to say
I'm like, don't look up to even the people that are, that you consider better than you. Look at them.
No, definitely you respect them. Yeah, you definitely respect them. You admire their work, but I agree to look up to somebody like this. Even I remember this even just reminds me of even when I was growing up having posters. My dad was like, I have posters of like Randy Moss, minister. Mm-hmm. Take it like, no, you only look up to God. You don't. These people are just men, just like you.
Yep.
They're like, so I remember even then I stopped wearing jerseys, even though I still sometimes just for the game's sake. But I stopped because you want to be these people. It's like no, like, be you. You. The Lord has blessed you with skills and abilities just like everybody that's ever graced this planet.
Yes.
So
own it.
And own it. And that's when things will start to work for you.
Yes.
And you have that confidence, and then you sit on your throne, like you got your queen telling you these things. Whoa, boy.
So yeah, man. I think that wraps up everything we had to say about career transition.
Man.
So, well. On to the next thing.
On to the next one. We don't even know what it is, but we'll see what it is.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Uncertainty, right?
Uncertainty.
Man, that was an interesting series, man. First series down, just talking about it. This is helping me. It's helping
me too.
It's helping me. I'm hoping, whoever watches this can be inspired as well. Just to if we're all going through it.
Yeah.
But man, just keep going through it.
What about you, Logan? How do you feel?
Good, man. I'm blessed.
Yes.
You better be blessed, boy.
Yeah.
I like it. You are blessed. Look at the fiance back there.
Represent.
she keeping you in check, huh?
All right, bro.
You already know what it is. The chop up.
The chop up. Till next time.